We are so distracted. Work takes on quite a big toll.
We're human beings, we're not robots. There are prices to pay, be it in your physical health, your mental health, your family health.
I went through that big struggle, right? Yeah.
The most dangerous verse during those situations is why me? Is what I call the victim mindset. My name is Cassandra Nadira Lee. I've been a growth and development expert, helping individuals, teams, and organizations.
Cassandra is not only an expert, she has overcome adversity, which makes her truly unique.
I wasn't successful in any relationship, personal relationship. I was very unhappy at work and I was trying to get out of it and I couldn't. I actually faced lawsuit.
How will self-awareness benefit my life?
If you're constantly unaware of what's driving you, you could be easily triggered. I think there are many avenues to start, but first and foremost is...
So you know me, I was spending the past year unpacking myself, right? And I felt like I was doing the work to rediscover my passion and my purpose. But I think one thing that I didn't really do as well still is dig even further within, right? To dig deeper down. Because that was something that I know I'm very uncomfortable with. So I want to ask something that's foundational. What is self-awareness?
Self-awareness in itself is a consistent stage of discovering about yourself and being aware of who you are with, what you are with, and your reaction or your response to that. I feel that there are many layers to it. The first layer could be understanding about your physical awareness, right? Then you have the deeper layer of emotional awareness. Am I aware of what I'm feeling? For example, now as I check in, I'm aware that I'm feeling a bit nervous and whether or not I'm able to do it well, right? That's the emotional awareness level. Then later we go deeper into understanding yourself, what I call below the waterline. How much of you are you aware that is driving you to react or respond? That is very important because in the world that we live in right now, if you're constantly unaware of what's driving you, you could be easily triggered. And if you're a leader or even a normal employee or people on the street, you might realize that, how come I constantly react? And that reaction might not be what you desire.
It was something I kind of felt, I think, in my previous company, right? But I kind of just buried it. I didn't kind of like deep in to figure out, why would it matter? So I think my question is, why would anybody care?
Most of them care only when something either break down or they face a war. Because from my experience, a lot of team leaders, they usually have to pay a huge price. Then they realize.
I think I went through that. I went through that big struggle, right? Yeah. And I think only at that point, then all that thing that you kind of like bottled up, surfaced up, and you realize, I do need to work on this, right? But I think over to you, I want to ask, how did you become self-aware?
Wow. Mine was a long journey, but I wasn't successful in any relationship, personal relationship. I was very unhappy at work. The workplace that I was in was toxic and I was trying to get out of it and I couldn't. I actually faced lawsuit. I'm constantly struggling with feeling at peace. And I went into depression and I had to take medication. And that's when I decided that I need to do some work on myself because nothing changed, right? The world hasn't changed around me, but you can change yourself. So when I started to change me because of my self-awareness, the world around me changed. The results in my life changed, professionally, personally.
I've read that 95% of us people think that we are self-aware. But in research, only 10 to 15% are actually self-aware. So my question is, how will I know if I have gained self-awareness or not?
I think one of the very primary things you can assess whether you have self-awareness or not is whether or not you are in the stage of growth or developing yourself, and whether your results that you want in life are in progression. Like right now, I am actually wanting to have a better relationship with my son, and he's doing his O-level. It's a very stressful year. And if I am not self-aware, I would want things my way for my son, who is very stressed. But if I'm self-aware, I will realize that I need to put myself out of the picture and put him at the forefront. Being aware that me, being a mother, insisting my way will only hurt our relationship. But it takes a lot for that to happen, because it means lowering my want, lowering my ego, but intentionally putting on to the results that I desire. And that results that I desire could means a reducing of me. So it could be a very humbling experience and learning journey.
And most of us sometimes may not want to face that truth.
I feel that if you are able to accept that you might not be where you want to be, it could be an easier start. Because learning, not a common trait in a lot of people.
It's moments of struggle or hitting that brick wall, just feeling stuck, right? That maybe triggers kind of like this curiosity to want to move forward. And only once you have that intentionality, that self-awareness can come about, right?
Yeah.
And that you use that to pursue that development. Is that right?
I think especially recently with a lot of changes in the world, and organizations affect individuals and teams' life in either the employment or even the change of jobs, and so there is a lot of changes. That could be actually a great place to start in terms of where people can start looking at self. That realization of why am I here? What do I really want to do? Could be a good start instead of just learning.
I'm going to segue to the next question
Sure.
because I think it's a good point. How will self-awareness benefit my life?
For me, self-awareness is the fundamental of all changes and improvement. Because once you look within self, you realize that nothing I control can be controlled. Only person that can be controlled is myself. How I respond, my emotions, my thoughts, my decisions, my actions. And when you come from that place, you realize that me is such a huge equation, because me plus my actions, decisions, response, everything will then equate to whatever results I want. So if you want a change in your relationships, you want a change in your professional life, it starts with me, not other people. A very easy example, you wanted a promotion and you know that other than yourself, there are 3 other candidates. You can't control what they're going to do. You can't control your boss's decision or your board of directors' decision. But what can you do? It's about you. Once you are self-aware that, hey, I am not so strong in certain things that position needs, you can change it.
Just to expand on that a little, what could that person do? What's kind of like the questions they should ask themselves?
I think the most dangerous verse during those situations is, why me? It's what I call the victim mindset. But reframe it to say, I have a potential to effect this. So what is it about me that I can do?
In this case, if I'm struggling at that point, and I would naturally ask myself, why? And I think it's only human to do that as well. So how do you switch?
If you start to look at the consistency that for the past years of your life, you've been asking why, you are getting nowhere, then it's time for a change. It is timely for the person to clue in to resources that's available. It can be people, it can be books, it can be podcasts, it can be anything that you could reach out to say, what can I do to create a different results in my life?
Going back to me, but also a very, almost simple reframe, which is turning why into a what.
Yeah.
Right. So you move away from that victimization kind of like mindset to it stems from me.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
Moving forward?
So in my work, right, why is only used when you're already in a powerful, empowering stage. Before you go to the empowering stage, never use why. What means you can take some other actions. Whereas when you're at the empowering stage, the why drives you to purpose, drives you to desire, drives you to progression. Yeah, I mean, in some ways there are things that you need to reconcile and understand. I'm not at the empowering stage yet.
That's powerful. Because I felt like I was trying to ask myself the whys, right? When you hit the brick wall, you're almost trying to go through that journey to self-validate. But I think what was still very missing for me was going deeper and understanding, because I'm struggling, right? Like yes, that gives me some form of direction, but I'm not really doing the real work.
Because when you're in a non-empowering state, why is charged with a lot of negative emotions. So if you understand our nervous system, right, usually at the not so empowering stage is where you're at the fight and flight. So with rage, with anger, with annoyance and things like that. And if you charge it with the question why, it's the corner that you land at. So there, in those fight, flight, arrogance, or angry or whatever stage, go to what?
And what allows you to be more objective. You start seeing yourself more objectively, hopefully. If you put yourself aside and not be clouded, I think, in your circumstances, you come to a more honest, I think, unveiling of yourself. And you use that to, bit by bit, chart forward. I think that's something
that is very important, but also to be able to ease off some of the highly negatively charged emotions first. You have to let it pant out in whatever way. Some people use exercise, some people use tension release, different type of modalities that you can use, but only when those highly charged negative emotions are out of your system, then that cognitive is able to be hooked on. And when you ask yourself the what, it can be answered honestly, rawly, as well as beneficial to yourself. If you recall back that 1 year, if you at that peak where you were so negatively charged, I don't think when you ask yourself what,
I felt like the process slowing down helped.
Yes.
I think in a way helped to level the emotions. I'm in this season of growth, right? And building this Be Curious. I'm curious. I want to know how can someone gain or build this self-awareness?
What is driving you? Remember the question, what is driving you to be curious, to be aware?
I'm a big learner. And whenever I have conversations, I hear topics, I want to dig deeper in. And I think it's part of just understanding or fulfilling that learner self in me. And I feel like I'm in school again, the school of life. Seeing all you teachers out there, I just want to have this conversation. Fascinating minds, experiences, and stories that you guys have gone through. I'm here to dig.
Okay.
And I'm curious, how do I, how could we help people gain that self-awareness?
I think there are many avenues to start. But first and foremost is that willingness and that wantingness to be in a different place, in a more empowering place.
One thing I didn't do was slow down. Targets, work, they're always in the back of their head. To achieve that, you just meant, let's just keep going faster. The irony to that is when you slow down, somehow performance came. And I'm reminded by an analogy you shared with me. This archer just keeps shooting the arrow. And over time, you get tired out and you realize that the archer's missing the target, right? But when you slow down, right, when the archer takes that moment, pulls the arrow back, and just slow down and just start to take aim. And you're holding that and you're aiming, right? You're taking that breath, you're slowing down. So much work
that
needs to be done. And then when he lets go, he hits the bullseye.
Yeah. A lot of people say more is more, but to me, less is more. Because the less is more deliberate than the more.
How do we help people understand that and create that space for themselves?
I think recognizing and accepting that there are prices to pay, be it in your physical health, your mental health, your family health, your own health. We are human beings, we are not robots. We need time to rejuvenate, we need time to pause, to heal. When that huge prices you pay happened, that's when usually people stop, right? Don't wait for that. Create some boundaries of, self-reflection, self-rest, and do nothing. I think the first and foremost thing is get rid of your phone for some time. And then just be with yourself, check in. Right? I sometimes ask people to have at least one question that you ponder over a day, right? One simple question, really simple question is, what is causing you joy? If you can answer that honestly and with the emotions rising up in your body, that's really, really, really good. And take, 10 to 15 minutes to do that intentionally on a daily basis. You'll see your life actually changing.
It's really small steps like this. It just compounds over.
Yes. Don't jump from 0 to 10. Never. 0 to 0.5 is a good start.
And you're right. We are so distracted. The digital landscape that we're in, work takes on quite a big toll. Just creating that space, I think, for yourself, intentionally, small, 10, 15 minutes, one question, seems to, help.
Yeah, it will expand. It will expand and you start to learn that joy in being with yourself. Because when it's something new, you might not be comfortable with it, but then be okay with the discomfort. Shucks, you might be thinking, right, the first day when you think, what am I going to achieve out of doing this question? What am I going to say, right? What is it that I would benefit? Accept that you are having this response and reaction, but still persist on it. After 15 days, after 21 days, notice that difference.
Are there questions you would recommend?
What are you grateful for today? Another question that I always ask is, who did you bring joy to today? Is it yourself or someone else? And recall those slightest moments. And when I say slightest moment, it could be even giving up a chair on public transport can be a very, very joyful thing when you have maybe a whole day being very busy and you might not have a very good day, but those small moments.
I realize as a parent, you have so many of those small moments. So many, right? With my 5-year-old, every moment's that small moment that you could just find that joy. But it's so powerful because what you might see as routine, if you don't take that stop and reflect, it just goes past.
When you give awareness to something positive, it's like a beautiful plant. It will just blossom.
What could be other ways to help someone gain that self-awareness also?
The somatic form is a very easy way of increasing physical self-awareness through the breathing, right? All you need is a space whereby you just sit down. It can be on the floor, it can be on the bed, but I don't suggest bed because people go into sleep like that. But be where you are, even in the workplace. Yeah, I always do this with my clients. I say at the workplace, just don't be on your phone. Just switch off your monitor for a while. Just sit there and just breathe. And I want you to start breathing from the top of your head. Bring the breathing down to your eyes level. Make sure your eyes are breathing. And slowly down to your nose. Breathe. Breathe through your mouth. Open your mouth and breathe. Down to your shoulders. Down to your chest. Make sure your hands are open up. And just breathe. So what is driving your curiosity now?
It's having this conversation with you and the things you're saying, the experiences that you had, just reflecting on that, like in my own experience relationships and just, wow, I love to be at where you are.
Did you notice your response before you start breathing and before you connect to your heart and now? What is that huge difference?
Yeah.
Right? Before that, you keep needing to have an answer through your head, right?
Thinking and thinking.
And thinking, how can I have the perfect answer, whatever, right? But once you're connected to who you are, your breathing, your awareness of your body, that you are just a human being, acknowledging that you're curious because you have aspiration to contribute to growth. Because fundamentally, Derek, your value is your love for people.
Wow.
Seems easy. It takes work. Are you aware now that your breathing is so much more even and that you're more connected to your heart and you're not rattling?
Yes. Should always do this before I start a podcast.
So by the time you take your breathing from the head to your toes or feet, usually it should take 2.5 minutes. If it's faster than that, it's not very good, I would say. And once you are able to go through that, you are actually raising your self-awareness through your physical form, and you realize that your heart is usually charged up in a very different way. Your actions are slow. You then start to respond and not allowing your emotions to be taking over you. So that's another way of physical self-awareness. Simple, but very doable.
Maybe switching over to emotional awareness as well. Any tips there?
Wow, that's a little bit more challenging because usually when you are highly charged with emotions, nothing much you can do unless you can say, okay, I need to pull back, because if I continue my reaction, something very bad is going to happen. So usually it's the breathing, right? I would ask people to breathe in through the nose, hold it there for 3 counts, and then breathe out for 4 counts. And do this over 5 times. And then they can experience a difference. And hopefully that would delay that reaction. Yeah.
And then taking the time later on to maybe ask yourself, what happened there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What could I have done differently?
Yeah. Another thing is acknowledging that takes some work. Acknowledging that I'm not in a good space to make a judgment or to make a call or to make a decision. So delay that, especially if it is not life and death or it's that urgent. So on days where I'm physically very tired or I didn't have a good night's sleep, that day I would try not to make any important decisions because I know I'm not at my best. So I would delay, and I would make requests to those people who need me to make a decision and say, excuse me, is it possible that I delay my decision making to the next day? They might ask why, and I would tell them honestly, I'm not feeling very well, or I'm a bit tired, I need more time. And people would be understanding. So you don't need to rush into things most of the time.
What I felt, I think, in this conversation is really a lot of it has to start within, right? And I think my own journey really got me to that space where I realized that answers are within myself. But the honest work in digging, I think, deeper and really understanding who you are, honestly, giving yourself that space, right? Slowing down doesn't have to be this big sabbatical that you do. It could take, like you said, that 0.5% every day, the 10-15 minutes every day to reflect on where you are, for that day, and have that compound. I feel like that's a big, I think, learning that I have today. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, Derek.
Thank you so much for
It's
this.
been wonderful.
Thank you for joining us on this conversation today on Be Curious. Together with Cassandra, we'll be compiling some of the insights that we've learned into a PDF, which you can download in the link below. I'm really curious to find out more about what you've thought about the conversation, what you thought about self-awareness. Please drop them in the comments. Thank you.